What's up, guys? It's Wheezy here, and welcome to episode 6 of Pay to Glory. So, in this episode, we got a lot to talk about. I haven't really played that much FIFA, to be honest with you, recently, and a lot of that's just come down to stuff that I've got going on with my personal life. I'm kind of looking at other kind of opportunities right now. So, I've been a little distracted, so I haven't been able to get on the game that much. So, what you're going to see in this episode is you're going to see a lot of stuff from the past week. Basically, you're going to see literally the squad battle rewards that are going to start the video, and then we're going to have the squad battles that or the rewards that we just got from this last Monday that came around. So both finishes, I think I finished silver 1 or silver 2. I think it was silver 1. You guys know my feelings on it. When it comes to squad battles, I don't like to stress myself out too much, so I've just been playing really easy game modes, and it's free coins the way I look at it. It's a free couple jumbo packs, some premium gold packs, depending on where you finish. If you want to put in the time and put in maybe 2-3 hours during the course of the week and just play some really easy games, you can get yourself about 10-12K and then a couple jumbo packs. I'm not a big fan of those packs, but you might pull something, but you're just as likely to pull something as you would be like if you would have played on professional or even world class some of those times. So you really have to actually put in the time to really be one of the elite players and try to finish in the elite to play on legendary and whatnot. But for me, it's just I just would rather go in there and get the free coins playing easy games. So my record does look a little inflated actually, because a lot of those have been squad battle games, which you guys have seen here. So that 27-1-0. I think it's somewhere around 49-1-0 or something like that at the current state. And a lot of that's come down to squad battles. So during the week, you'll probably play about 10 squad battle games. I think I've played maybe 10, 12 online games. Luckily, thankfully, all of them have been wins so far. So we're still waiting our loss. I'm not looking forward to that day. But, it is what it is. So I forgot to mention this, but at the start of the video, if you guys could please leave a like on the video, I really appreciate that. I just want to get that out of the way. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please subscribe. So I appreciate you guys' support. So we're going to jump into squad battle here, which is the only squad battle game. I know I mentioned in the last video that I wasn't going to have squad battles in here, so I just basically fast forwarded so you guys could kind of see some of the results I've been getting. This was Dele Alli's team, I think. I think this week's team is Alexander Lacazette, but Dele Alli's team, you guys see, even on semi-pro, like he's got world-class players, and you can just easily kind of roll through them. Like they have their moments where they play quite challenging, but it's nothing really that you'll break a sweat doing. Like as soon as, especially if you just go ultra attacking or attacking right out the gate, get that early goal, the team seems to deflate. But what I found with the computer is if you sit back on balance and you just let the computer kind of come at you and you go back and forth with them, you're probably going to concede a goal, or at least the computer will start seeing some momentum go in their favor. So what my tactic has been just attack them right out the gate and just get that early goal. They seem to deflate, and I don't know what happens, but the longer you go into the game at 0-0, the stronger the computer gets. They will probably allow you some opportunity late in the game, like around the 85th to 90th minute. If you haven't scored, they'll kind of like dumb down. But for the most part, like if you want that 6-0 win or 7-0 or whatever it is, and you want those really high coin totals and you want the really high point totals for your squad battles, you should just go in there and just stomp them. Just go ultra attacking, because ultra attacking seems to be the only way sometimes against a computer to actually get your team to play positive attacking football. Like most of the time they kind of stand around there like dummies when you're playing on regular balanced mode, and it can be very frustrating. So that's my tip for playing the computer. Take it or leave it, but for me it's proved to be quite valuable. I just go in there ultra attacking right out the gate and just stomp them. So as you guys see here, the marquee matchups have been coming out. The marquee matchups have been really interesting for me. I don't see value in them personally. I don't think that really the packs you're getting out of them are really worth it. Like you're probably spending 20-30K if you have nothing, because there's always one every week that requires, unless you're doing bronze pack method, which credit to you, I don't have the patience to do bronze pack method. You really need to be super patient and have a lot of time on your hands to do bronze pack method to really rinse them through, because it does require you constantly listing things up. But for me personally, I'm not that concerned about it. Like, I don't really necessarily want to be sitting there opening up bronze packs. But like I said, there's always one in every week. So I think in that one, it was the Australian League. In the Australian League, you needed like a Melbourne player and some other team. I can't remember if it was Melbourne, if they were both Melbourne clubs, but they were all the players were going for like 10K. So that was the only one that I didn't do right out the gate. All the other ones were pretty simple. I could do them right based on players in my club. But that's where I've been kind of having this tug of war with myself. So if you look at this team, this German team here, they're not necessarily like world beaters. It's not like cards that are going to go for crazy. But if you add them all up, I mean, like 600 coins here and there. Especially once the League SBC comes out for Germany, like that team will be worth a lot more, right? So you could hold on to these guys and just wait till they go up for 1,000 coins or 1,500 coins or whatnot. But a lot of these guys are already going for 500-600. It's not like you're going to find too many of them if you don't have them in your club that are just going for discard. It's pretty rare. You're gonna at least have to spend a couple hundred coins on it. So that team right there, even at 600 coins a piece, you're looking at 6-7K for one of these, right? And to open a jumbo premium gold pack where, as you guys will see here, you essentially don't get anything. So I've kind of had to, I don't know, weigh my options, I guess, on that type of thing. That's probably not the best example because I actually did get Perisic, so put my foot in my mouth. I think that was the best pull we got in the whole video, but with the jumbo premium gold packs, I've opened so many of them that just had nothing in them, and I don't necessarily like to advocate people doing them for jumbo premiums because the 7K isn't even worth a jumbo premium in my opinion. I'd rather have the 7K. You can get a decent player for it rather than just get a bunch of non-rare Colombian players from like the Colombian League or Argentinian players from the Argentinian League that'll just sit in your club and rot away. I'd rather have the coins sitting in my club, right? So you weigh the options right now. For me, I just haven't seen the packs and the marquee matchups. By the end of this year, you'll probably have like informs and guaranteed team of the season for doing the 4 marquee matchups. That's when I see value with it. But right now, I don't necessarily like it to do like a gold players pack where you get 1 rare. Like you're not going to probably pull that much from it. And the risk is not worth the reward there. So I'd rather recommend keeping the coins. For me personally, the only reason that I'm doing them is because I've got a bunch of these players in the club. And if you can do them for cheap enough to get a jumbo premium pack or a rare gold pack, I'm a big fan of rare gold packs, then do it. But to spend 20-30K to do the marquee matchups, I don't suggest doing that. As you guys see there, we did pick up David Silva. He was somebody that I definitely wanted. I wanted to change the formation to something narrow. I wasn't getting on with the wide formation, just because I mentioned in the last video, the players are sitting too wide. I didn't like them doing nothing out there. I prefer having it compacted, especially online, as this guy's team shows. Those wingers there, they're pace guys, and I like pace guys for the BPL, especially when you got Theo Walcott and those types of guys. But they just sit out on the wing, and if you're not a wing player like me and you don't whip in crosses, they're essentially worthless. And it's almost like having 8 guys on the field or 9 guys on the field if you include the keeper. So for me, I just went back to my trusted formation that I used last year, which is the narrow. As the year goes on, hopefully more players will come out where you'll be able to have like some pace on it, because right now the only players with pace, especially in the EPL, are just the wingers. The central players don't have any pace. You're starting to see some informs come out that have pace up top, but they're so expensive. Like Gabriel Jesus was in this week's team of the week. They moved to Luis Zaha. Even though his shooting isn't massive, he's still going for like 150 to 190. That's a lot of money right now for a lot of people, right? Like a lot of people don't have the coins to be spending that. So you have to deal, unfortunately, with some slower players. Like Gundogan is one of the faster center midfielders in the BPL, and he's probably only like 75 pace. Like there's a lot of slow guys in there, so you'll have to kind of deal with central players, which I like tactically. They're very good. They're very good passers, very good dribblers, but for the most part, not very quick. And you'll start to see them get exposed later in the year once some faster players come out. So as we play our first online match, this was our first game in Season 9, and this guy wasn't I don't know what happened. Like, I was just rolling this guy. I don't want to say he was a terrible player, but he wasn't a very strong player. Villa Boys, I believe, was his name. And I don't want to, call anybody out or shoot my shot there, but with that being said, the game did finish pretty landslide style, so I was just, everything that I was attacking was going in. I don't know if it was the way he was playing or the way he set up his team. He seemed to have a pretty balanced team. Like, they were all playing in the right position. But as you guys can see, like, it was like playing the computer on easy for some reason. Every shot that I was taking was going in. Shots are flying in. David Silva's missed much easier sitters, but for some reason he's like rocking that into the corner, which I'm fine with. Like, I'm totally okay if that's the way my season goes, or my year goes for the most part. Like, I'm fine playing guys like this most of the time, just because it was a really easy victory. I think it was the highest victory I've had maybe all year, like for the calendar year. I don't know if I've really rocked that many people from FIFA 17 that much. And credit to this guy, he stayed in the game the entire game. But last year, when you start beating guys 3-4 nothing, they would quit. So this guy stayed in the game. I give him full credit. It was a landslide. I don't know if I would have stayed for it, but everything that I was touching seemed to turn the gold here. Gabriel Jesus, you guys know that I'm a massive fan of his. I would love his inform that just came out, but sadly it's probably going for about 500-600K right now. So I don't foresee that coming down in price anytime soon. But like you guys see, like the players were just making these immaculate passes, things that were probably not going to happen later on when I start facing like tighter competition. Like these are things that he couldn't even really defend. Like it wasn't even a matter of his defense being poor, but just look at the way this breaks. Like he skips over top of the defender. Unfortunately pulled his player over there. It looks like he got in his keeper's way. They're bumbling a bit there, but that was probably the score. But you know, that pass, sometimes the computer identifies it and they go cut it off. In this case, he was just running and all of his players were getting sucked towards the ball, and it opened up my player like for an easy tap in. So those types of things, I don't know why they happen, but they're very frustrating when they happen against you. But in my case, I was gladly smiling. This was just such an easy game. I can't really even tell you how simple it was. Like by this point in the game, I was just lazily defending. That was a mistake on my part to tackle him with a slide tackle, very clumsy tackle. He basically just took the ball and ran at me in this weaving run, which I know a lot of you guys have complained about. I've seen it a lot on Reddit. I've seen it a lot on like the forum threads. It's too hard to defend that for some reason. Because the defending is so manual, it's something, and you'll see it in a later game, that when opponents just run at you randomly, like they just sprint and just weave run, it's too hard. Like the tracking button doesn't stay in front of the player. Like I know that they dumbed it down because they don't want you to perfectly track a run, which is fine. But with that being said, the weave run is way too effective. I don't know how you can really defend it without like amping up the computer's AI or the defending AI. So it's kind of this area of gray that they'll have to tackle at some point, because right now that weave run is just causing nightmares for so many people. And people that are really active in the community know that it's not a bug, it's not a glitch, but it's just something to take advantage of. Again, another tramp goal. I think I scored about 3 or 4 tramp goals in this game, so don't judge me on that, but I was just trying to rack up the score, get the maximum amount of points I could. But yeah, back to the sprint running. The sprint dribble is just something that guys are doing and they're taking advantage of. And I think you're going to notice it a lot in FUT Champs. You're going to see players get exposed, and it's unfortunate because I don't think it requires any skill. It just basically you identify the fact that you can see your player panicking, so you just run at them. And I don't know what they're going to do to solve that, but thankfully that's not my job to figure that out. So as we come to the end of this game, 8-1, I told you guys that it was a pretty landslide finish. You know, my first online game for Season 9 was pretty simple. I know the Season 9, Season 8, even Season 10, you'll get like a real hodgepodge. You'll get guys that are just starting, and you'll get guys that are veterans that are just beginning their season. Maybe they got FIFA a little bit later. So you never really know what you're going to get. So this is not really a great barometer, I guess, to like judge the rest of the season. Like you don't know how it's going to go. Basically, from Season 6 down, you'll start seeing some better players and more so better teams in Season 6, or Division 6, I guess you'd call it. Division 6, Division 7, you start seeing a little bit better teams. Division 5, you start seeing really good teams, and then players start settling about Division 4, 3, 2, 1 is you kind of, that's where you're going to pretty much be for the rest of the year. So it'll be interesting once we get a little bit higher. Right now, I'm not putting a lot of stock into that. As you guys saw there, we did sell Felipe Coutinho. So unfortunate because I love Coutinho, but just being a winger, and if he gets a central card, I'll look to get that into my club. But being a winger, I just couldn't have him out there. It was a waste of coins. He was burning a hole in my pocket, and it was just very frustrating. So we decided to sell him. The other thing that I did in here with the SBCs was I was going through excuse me, they released two new league SBCs. You haven't seen them yet, but they released Portugal and the Russian league. So you got four SBCs now. There's a lot of value to be had. So I recommend going on FUTBIN if you guys aren't familiar with FUTBIN already, but go in there, check out the SBCs, and basically see their overall value, because like for a Prime Electrum players pack, for rare gold packs, for gold player packs, like these types of things, like look at this. I mean, that's not necessarily the best pack in the world, but for the cost of whatever team that was, I think it was Galatasaray, very, very good value. I mean, you can do those really simply. So I was trying to go through and find some value in there. I had a lot of first owners for this for Fenerbahce, 1,200 coins, 1,500 coins. If you're spending under 10K for like a premium gold players pack, like that's a decent reward. I wouldn't recommend spending over 10K for any of them, especially like the rare gold packs. Some of those squad builder challenges are going for like 25, 26K. I do not recommend doing that. You can basically buy the gold pack for 25K once they come out. But if you can find real value in there, like especially the teams that have a lot of gold players in it, so the Fenerbahces, the Galatasarays, the Besiktases of the world, you can get them relatively cheap. And then next thing you know, you pull a player like that, so Pedro. So I think it was pretty much a wash. The Pedro was the cost of me essentially opening that pack, so the rest of this is all gravy, right? Ricardo Rodriguez. Unfortunately, we didn't get anybody else other than Ricardo Rodriguez, who doesn't really go for that much. But these guys are going to be valuable come SBC time. If you need to, you can always just discard them too. So, whatever that is there, I think those go for an average of 3K. So you're looking at what, $4,000, something like that, from just discarding them, if not more, if you have the time and patience to sell them all. So I recommend doing that. And then we pick up Idrissa Gana Gueye. So he's a guy that I had in my team last year, very good card, and somebody that I recommend as a CDM. He was going for about 8K. I think we got him for like 8,300. He was going for actually 9K, 9 something. So we got him for 8,300, but I need to solidify that back end there. And really make that midfield dominant, because you guys know I like to play that tiki-taka style. So that trade pile, that was also to show you guys that there was some value to be had with the Russian league and the Portuguese league. And then we jump in here. So I sold all of those players. And then we jump in here. I finally bit the bullet and decided to just do that Melbourne and whatever the other team is, that Australian League one that was very expensive. The players were going for like 10K. If you got them for like 9,500, it was considered a value. I don't recommend doing it. The pack is super crappy. I think it's even like a silver pack or something like that. No, you got a premium gold pack, so definitely not worth the value. But I just was tired of seeing that. I got a little greedy, and I don't recommend doing this, so don't do what I do here. I just wanted to do it just because I was bored, and I just decided to waste coins, which is essentially what I did. I just wasted the coins here. So that gold premium pack, unfortunately, all the golds were contracts, which we'll sell eventually, but right now they're essentially worth nothing. We got 500 coins. Paco Alcacer, who will go for something once there's like a Barcelona SBC, or there's like a marquee matchups with Barca in it. Those guys tend to jump up a little bit. And then the big pack, I think this was gold premium players pack, Bauman. So as you guys saw, paying 18K for 2 Australian players, you could make massive money if you had those guys sitting in your club. So maybe a testament to bronze player, bronze pack method if you guys want to do it. But other than that, like, it was just super frustrating because I didn't want to spend the money on Australian players, and those were the only 2 clubs that I don't think I had a player for. So it was very frustrating, but, it's worth the risk sometimes. But that was just me being dumb in that case, because I don't rate gold premium player packs, and I didn't want to do it, but I just was being an idiot. So that was a use case study right there in what not to do in FIFA SBC squad building. So Alberto Moreno here was another guy we picked up. I was using Baba Rahman, I think was his last name, the Ghanaian Chelsea left back, is my second back behind Kolasinac. And he just didn't do the job. He was very frustrating to play with. He was 82 pace, but he just didn't feel that quick. There he is, Baba, right there. His defense wasn't that good. I used Alberto Moreno last year, and I do rate Alberto Moreno. I've heard a lot of people hate on him. Uh, but he's quick. He's 88 pace. That defending is really poor, but like honestly, you don't really notice it that much. Like having a really high rated defender, you're going to notice it because the guy just takes away everything. Like even if the guy's slow, like a guy like Gerard Piqué, you're not going to beat him on the ground. But for a guy like Alberto Moreno, he's got so much pace that even if you miss the original tackle, he'll just be in his face buzzing around. He's like Hector Bellerin in that sense. They just are always in the guy's face, always causing problems and just disrupting players that are down the wing. And more importantly, he's not going to get beat on lob balls or through balls. He can track things. He can attack well. So I rate him quite well. For a wingback, I'm not too concerned about size or height or anything like that. So not a big deal right there. So I recommend him for 1,000 coins. He's better than Baba. I didn't rate Baba at all. Kolasinac was a decent player. He's kind of in that PK type mold, a big guy who was just hard to beat on the ground. Another really good value player. But eventually I do want to pick up some higher rated left backs. Like my dream combo right now would be Hector Bellerin on the right and Marcus Alonso on the left. I think those were the guys that I used last year, and they were just so good. I don't necessarily want Walker. He's too much money anyway. So Kyle Walker, you guys can have him. I know he's a speed demon, but at least if he's anything like he was last year, he was just so attacking that he would get caught out of position so much. So I don't want that type of guy in my back line. I've got enough players in my midfield and enough strikers that those guys can worry about attacking. But for a guy like Kyle Walker, unless you're going to play like a wing back formation or force him up onto the right mid, like I don't like super attacking players in my back line. I didn't have that issue with Bellerin. Bellerin felt fine last year, and he'll probably be okay. And he's got 95 pace, so worst case scenario, if he does get caught forward, he will have the pace to get back in time. So those are my recommendations for wingbacks. But for cheap options, those are the guys that I've been using: Kolasinac and Alberto Moreno. And then I've been using Zappacosta, who I can't say enough good things about. He's starting to get exposed a little bit as you're starting to see some better players come up from an attacking standpoint, and guys are starting to build better teams. But for against a team like this, like you're not going to have too many problems because Zappacosta is got decent pace and he's got very, average to good defending. So this is the second game we came up against. This guy had very much a beginner type of La Liga team or Liga Santander team. This guy was a very interesting opponent. There's not too many highlights from this game. This guy actually was attacking fairly well considering the team he was using, so I was quite surprised with him. You're going to see some decent attacks with him, but what he did was he basically took the ball and did what I was saying earlier. He just did this weave run. I know he passed it off there, but a lot of his chances, which didn't really make very good highlights, so I edited them out because there was also a lot of him just weave running. He would just take the ball and just do that. He would just run back and forth and try to weave and hope to cause confusion in your back line. So I do hope that's something that you're going to see addressed. It's very frustrating to come up against, and it's not football. It has nothing to do with the sport. Like, it's just a guy getting the ball and running at you. Like, I've never seen a defender just panic, like, run back and not be able to have any idea where the guy's going. If a guy's just running straight at you, you just stand him up if you're a defender, if you have any sense, which I'd like to think a pro footballer would. So it looks really stupid, especially when you see a guy running and the defender's just running back and has no idea what's going on. It just makes the game look stupid. So hopefully it's something they address. So as we go into halftime, I was actually down 1-0. The guy was causing me nightmares with his stupid weave run, but credit to him. You got to do what you got to do in order to win. Right off the bat in the second half, we just went attacking before he could really get set. Another guy that we picked up, Joshua King, just a pace whore. Very good card, actually. He only goes for about 1,000 coins, and I think he's like 91 pace, like 77 shooting, something like that. So basically the stats you're going to get for a guy like Gabriel Jesus, obviously he's not Gabriel Jesus. He doesn't quite have the ability that Jesus does, but from a face card standpoint, like, he's 1/60th of the price of a guy like that. So if you're looking for really cheap options, I highly recommend that. As we come into the later stages of the game here, we were going back and forth, but for the most part, I was pretty much owning possession, and as you guys have seen so many times, especially with a lot of my gameplay, like if you can really just own possession, the other team starts to crumble and eventually you'll break through, which we did there with Renato Sanchez. And then we come in later in the game, a little give and go there between Gabriel Jesus and whoever that was, and I just cut inside. He just wasn't expecting the cut inside, and just that low-driven shot, which has been a point of contention as well. The low-driven shot is something that I've seen a lot on Reddit, a lot of people complaining, and I have had this, especially in offline gameplay, cause a lot of problems with the low-driven shot rising. So you hold low-driven, and then you hold the shoot button and then you double tap and it should have that low driven shot. However, it's just rising on a lot of people for no good reason. So I've been executing the shot just like I've been normally doing it in the past, but for some reason the shot will just pick up. And I would go into the instant replay and actually look at this, and you'd see the arrow low, and then you direct it to where it's going, and you'd see it just do this, and then once you could see the release, once I'd release the button, you'd just see the arrow go like that, and it would just raise, and it would rocket over the bar, and I have no idea what's causing that, if it's a bug or what, but it's like identifying the fact that you've just released the shoot button, and it's causing some weird bug where it just rockets into the sky. So I don't know why that is, but that's something they definitely have to address, because it's cost me so many goals where I'm right in front of goal and I'm trying that low-driven shot and he'll just shoot it into the stands. So I know that'll be an issue, especially as this whole esports debate comes out, whether this game's esports ready. That's something they got to get out of the game. This third game, we come up against a very, very powerful Serie A team. This was probably the best team we've played so far. The guy had 3 informs, which I don't think I've seen anybody with 3 informs so far, with the exception of those squad battle teams that have like a whole bunch of guys that have like pro cards and inform cards, and it looks like they just basically got whoever they wanted from EA giving it to them. But this guy actually had a really well-built team. Looks like he put some money into the game. And this Serie A team was actually causing me a lot of issues. Funny enough, his keeper, Perrin, was like, look at that for a stop. Terrible finishing from me, but his keeper, Perrin, was just a absolute wall. I don't know what Perrin's stats are. He's got to be somewhere between 83 to 85, so if you guys saw that, you guys will be able to tell me. I'll have to look back on the replay, but he was just an absolute monster. Probably the best keeper performance I've had against me this entire year. So it took until the 45th minute. We finally broke him down. Nice little play inside of David Silva, and I had to finesse it around him because every low-driven shot, every power shot that I took against this guy, his keeper was parrying it, knocking it into the sky like he was just coming up absolutely huge. And I still wasn't able to actually create that many opportunities. So he played in a 4-2-3-1, and as you guys know, it's a quite defensive formation, and because his team was so good on paper, I couldn't break it down. Every time I would get into a little bit of space, I don't like to abuse the sprint button, so I was trying to play the ball real simply on the ground, and his defenders would just run it down and tackle me. So it was hard to get any space or any time on the ball. I had to really concentrate with this, and defensively, he was just very solid. Attacking-wise, he didn't offer anything, so that's the thing that you'll see in the second half here. Offensively, he basically, I don't remember, I didn't catch the actual stats there, but from an attacking standpoint, he offered nothing, which is why you basically didn't see any of his highlights, because he didn't have any in the first half. In the second half, I don't know what happened, if he passed the controller off to somebody or if he just decided to change how he was playing. He did make a couple subs a couple times throughout the game. I know he brought on Yaya Toure for some reason. I don't know if that was from a defensive standpoint, but he was a lot more patient. He was a little bit predictable. I could see where he was going. He was trying to work the ball side to side around the top of the box, and eventually just cut the ball in, which I finally was able to get. That was an opportunity right there that was a low driven, and he just rocketed into the stand. So that shows you kind of what I was talking about. Unfortunately, I can't prove that it was a low driven, but I kept that in there just to show, because as you guys know, like that second goal, I do like to take low drivens. But this guy was, as I was saying, attacking wise, he was being a lot more patient, which was creating him some opportunities. However, once I figured out what he was doing and I was just being a lot more patient with my defending, I usually don't dive in anyway. But I try to be quite aggressive around the area and try to cut off passing lanes, but try to rush the guy as well. I've always been quite proud of my defense, but once I figured out where he was going, he was a little bit more predictable. And once we did that, I just basically was able to dispossess him and then just keep the ball away from him. And then, as you guys saw, it created a second goal for us with Joshua King on that low-driven shot. We did have another opportunity late in the game here where I thought I was going to be able to score. Another great save from Perrin. that low driven's been letting me down though. And then we had, oh, I thought I had one other opportunity here where I came in, but I think might have been earlier in another game. But his keeper was just, yeah, it was just huge all game long. That low driven was letting me down to the point that I thought he was going to come back and sneak one in there. But the one thing that I have been able to say about this year's game, even though I don't like it as much as 17, I do find that the better team has won. And I hate to say that because I'm undefeated, and it's not like I think that I'm better than every single player, but the players that I've played so far aren't the greatest quality. I have the feeling that when I do come up against a better player, he'll probably beat me. Last year, I felt like, especially early on in the year when people were trying to figure out the game, you were coming up against guys and you'd lose to, lack of a better term, BS. Like, guys would come out with victories that you didn't really expect them to have. So this year, when there was really tight games, I've been able to actually like pull them out and come up with victories late in the game. Because I felt like I've been able to control the game. So I credit to that. I don't necessarily feel like that's happening, but you'll see it in the results, right? The results speak for themselves. So I guess they have been happening that in games where I've felt like the more dominant of the two, which I know it's really easy to say and a lot of people say that. I think that, I've been able to come out on top, which has been something that I'm very elated to say, because you haven't been able to say that about a lot of FIFAs. In this third game here, we came up against another meta type EPL team. It's not a team that was super expensive, but it was a team that was really well put together. 4-3-3 always worries me too. It's surprisingly well balanced. We did score right off the get-go though. In the second minute, Gabriel Jesus sent him through, kind of caught this guy off guard. It was a feeling out process, and thankfully I was able to jump in front, because as you guys have seen in so many games, I go behind to an early goal, and it's usually me having to come back from a deficit. So that's always been a challenging thing, but like I've always been, for the most part, usually able to do it, but I don't score too many early goals. And I was actually worried because this guy got angry and he was starting to come up and actually create some opportunities. So as the game went on, this was a real tight matchup. Great save from his keeper there, another effort that I expected to go in, but this guy was probably the best opponent that we played so far today, and just somebody that created a lot of opportunities for himself. I haven't been able to say that about a lot of my other opponents. Maybe, I don't know if it's because of my defending or if it's because of the fact that I've been coming up against weaker opponents, but I've actually been able to say that I've played better than most of my opponents in these games. And like, for lack of maybe team that's been keeping guys in games, I've been pretty dominant in terms of the performances. But this was probably one of the most back and forth games that I've had. I created probably more opportunities, as that was the other low driven that I think I was talking about in the last game that was very frustrating. But it just wasn't creating the opportunities. I thought I had a second here, but that was offside. But this guy was going back and forth with me. He was a little bit more long range efforts, but just frustrating from that standpoint. So as we finish the the fourth game in this, we come out with our fourth victory. So I've been able to squeak out some victories in this game, but we are about one game away, I believe, from winning Division 9, jumping into Division 8. So I appreciate you guys sticking through the whole video. I know it's a little bit of a long one, a little bit of a dry one, so I apologize for that. But I appreciate you guys' support. If you guys can leave a like on the video down below and leave any comments you have in the comment section. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I will catch you guys for episode 7. All right, take care. Peace.